Hi, I'm Zoe. I'm a media student who's passionate about making short films and documentaries. I love learning new things and I've always been interested in Scotland's history, seeing as I grew up in Glasgow. And a big part of Scotland's history is the witch trial era. I wanted to find out a bit more about this, and so that's why I made this documentary, because I think it's important to know your country's history. The first area I personally heard about years ago is Paisley. This town in Renfrewshire, Scotland, holds great historic value when it comes to Scotland's witch trial history. The Paisley witch trial of 1696 focused around one individual in particular, 11-year-old Christian Shaw.
People are often given a bad press in history, and particularly the women can be written out of history or given a distorted account. I think Christian Shaw gives a case of a woman who was a businesswoman. She and her mother ran and owned the Burgarn Thread Company. An impact for the good in Paisley, in Renfrewshire, and I think she should be respected for that. Yeah. And I think the taint that she was a horrible, malicious child should be removed from her.
Christian Shaw claimed she was being tortured by local witches and that she was being visited by the devil. She had begun to suffer from fits and contortions. In some, she attempted to throw herself in a fire, and it took 4 strong men to hold her back. In others, it was reported that her head would bend back towards her heels. Her eyes would roll so far back into her head that spectators thought she should never have used them again.
Some people have argued that Christian Shaw was ill, and there was some form of hysterical illness that resulted in that interpretation. Well, maybe, or maybe not. I think that we should ask the question, not why did Christian Shaw do what she did, but why was it said that she did what she did? Yeah. And I think if we look at the motivation of people who wrote the narrative of the suffering of the little girl, her misfortune was that they chose to write a book about her.
The narrative that Professor McLuaghlin is referring to is one that was written and published in Edinburgh in 1698, called A True Narrative of the Sufferings and Relief of a Young Girl, which has been taken by many generations as the truth of what was happening to Christian Shaw at that time. Shaw claimed that multiple members of her community were tormenting her through witchcraft, and this eventually resulted in all 7 of them being condemned to death. They were hanged here in Paisley's Gallow Green, where the last remnants of the structure still remain to this day. Today, a commemorative horseshoe plaque stands in place, where the remains of the accused were burnt. Inscribed on the horseshoe are the words "pain inflicted, suffering endured, injustice done." These words reign true, not only with the Paisley witch trial, but all witch trials that took place in Scotland. The Paisley witch trial was one of the last witch hunts in Scotland, and after 1736, when the British Parliament repealed the Scottish Witchcraft Act, the practice of witch hunting simmered down until it was just another part of our history. Dr. Hugh McLuaghlin has his own theory on why not only Christian Shaw, but the adults around her as well, were so eager to prove that witchcraft was real.
Now, quite often when you get near the end of a century, people think it's going to be the second coming. And I think this is partly what they thought in the 1690s in Paisley. So if you showed that witchcraft existed, you showed the devil existed, you showed that God existed.